Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly NRHS Iowa Chapter YouTube slideshow. If you're interested in more information about the Iowa Chapter, please visit iowanrhs.com. There you can join the chapter or renew your membership and order any of the great products that the Iowa Chapter has to offer, including DVDs and photo collections. Please enjoy the program this month and consider visiting iowanrhs.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the May 2023 Iowa Chapter NRHS and Cedar Rapids Railfan slideshow. My name is Tom Hogan, and today recording with me, I have Russ Lyon of Washington, and he is going to be sharing with us a program of him growing up rail fanning in Northwest Ohio. Russ, say hello to everyone and give them a little bit of background about what we're going to see.
Good evening, Tom, and thanks for having me. I grew up in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. My father was a tower operator for the C&O Railway. He worked many towers up and down the line, everywhere from MD Marion up to VR and MD and Millard up in the Toledo area, also F Tower in Fostoria. My mom and dad met through a Trains magazine as pen pals, and I obviously grew up rail fanning, and my first slide here is my first rail fan trip at 21 days old in Oak Harbor, Ohio.
Very nice. You were born and raised in it.
Yep, I didn't have a choice whether to like it or not like it.
That's fair. All right, well, I'm excited to see this. Let's get going with the program here, Russ.
All right, slide number 2. Dad reading me a book, Great Trains of North America. You can see I'm definitely taking it in there. This is where this is my hometown, Upper Sandusky. This is where my dad worked, and I have many fond memories here visiting SA Tower in Upper Sandusky. This is the crossing of the C&O and the Pennsylvania railways. Fast forwarding here, probably 14, 15 years. I want to show you some pictures around Upper Sandusky. Here's a Conrail eastbound on the former Pennsylvania main line. And here is a CSX eastbound on the original Chesapeake and Ohio. This was kind of the post-merger, and there was a lot of color. You know, you had Chessie, Seaboard coastlines, C&O, B&O locomotives, family lines, just a lot of different paint schemes after the merger.
Yeah, it looks like it's a chassis leader, but it's actually a B&O patch. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. It was, I think, original B&O locomotive, and of course the B&O C&O became chassis system.
Right, and then the family line system locomotive, is that the second out?
I believe that's a Seaboard system back there.
Oh, okay.
And then I guess I forgot to add RF&P was part of the family too. Here's one of their locomotives north of Upper Sandusky.
That is a rare catch right there, especially for the time frame that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And then the Conrail kind of had a few lives after the line was single tracked in the early 80s. The Amtrak used it for a while. Triple Crown had up to 2 road railers each way a day. This railroad many times was in danger of being severed, and Amtrak and the road railers, and they even ran Norfolk Southern ran oil trains here up to a couple years ago, and it's still a through route all the way.
So this is interesting because the road railers are just about end of life now, running on the former Wabash on the NS.
Yeah, I think there's still one set that runs between Kansas City and Detroit.
Yep.
Here's a family line system, not such a great looking locomotive, but kind of a classic one in Upper Sandusky. Here's another westbound Conrail, uptown Upper Sandusky. There's a CSX westbound. Notice in the background there was an old brickyard plant in Upper Sandusky.
Yeah.
In the track to the right of the picture is the old eastbound main, and there used to be a center siding between the two tracks. C&O was known for its center sidings.
Okay.
CSX eastbound blown through the snow through Upper. Seaboard system, I believe, is a U-18B. These were extremely rare back in the early 90s. Usually after school, I'd go out and see what I could catch. Another road railer in Upper Sandusky. Obviously, you can see the Pensy heritage there with the signal.
Yep. CPLs.
The eastbound way freight crossing the Sandusky River on the east side of Upper. This is the U.S. Commission's, I believe it's a ex Long Island S2. That locomotive is still there today. Just a local critter for one of the elevators.
All right.
The only Conrail GP30 that I ever saw in action on the Conrail Stone train there at Upper.
That is a ratty looking unit at this point.
Yeah. C&O eastbound, going underneath crossing the Lincoln Highway there in Upper.
That blue station wagon is pretty classic over there on the side, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of dates the picture.
Certainly does.
Just north of town, a C&O eastbound empty going by the anhydrous plant.
Are those CSX coal hoppers? Is that what we're seeing here?
The first one looks like it's a chassis, and then the second two are CSX.
Yep.
These are ex-chassis SD35s, which were purchased by Toledo Ore Company, Torco. And once in a while, they did escape from the docks up there, and these are photographed in Upper Sandusky.
All right.
Conrail Jeep 10 on the Cary Stone train. High-nose Jeep, those were getting pretty far and few between in the early 90s.
For sure.
I believe it's an ex-Seaboard Coastline U-18B. And a Seaboard System SD40 leading just north of Upper. Even a Grand Trunk SD40 made it down. Pretty unusual to get those down this far, but it's nice to see.
Was this like paying back horsepower hours or some kind of a trackage rights train?
It must have been horsepower hours. There was never any kind of trackage rights south of Fostoria on the C&O. They did run CSX did run a dedicated 398, 399 train that came out of Walbridge, went to Willard daily, but never went south of Fostoria.
Okay.
Second unit there, I believe, is a BQ-23-7, kind of like a cabless B unit that came off the family lines. There was only, I think, a handful of them, and once in a while they'd make it in our neck of the woods.
That is a bizarre looking engine.
Yeah. Seaboard coastline and chassis. If you look really close, above the second locomotive, above the chassis system, you can see the original B&O coming through the paint.
Yes, you can. And you can actually, if you look, you can see the B&O lettering on the side of the cab as well.
Yep. And a GP30M, not a original GP30, but a rebuild, but looks good to me.
Yeah.
Just south of Upper Sandusky, signal 60.4. Used to be double track CTC, and you can see the signal bridge abutments on both sides of the photograph.
Was this another one of Conrail's? Or no, this wasn't Conrail. This would have been something that they actually.
Yeah, this is original Chesapeake in Ohio.
Yeah.
And being the son of a tower operator, a lot of the train crews knew me, so when they saw me out taking pictures, they'd invite me up and let me go for a ride.
You ever take a ride from Sandusky to Fostoria and back?
No, I was too young, but they let me ride around town multiple times.
Okay.
And a B&O leading the coal train westbound there at Upper. Notice the second locomotive, a C40-8. That was some of their newer power at this point.
Yeah, is this, what are we looking at here? Probably about 1988, 1989, somewhere in there?
No, I would say more probably 91 or 92 at least.
Okay.
Another B&O GP40. You can see the Conrail maintenance away signal maintainer shed there in the background. The tower was located just behind where the CN boxcar is.
Okay.
And the next Guilford, I believe those are GP39s leading the southbound 637 train at Upper.
Wow.
This is up at Cary, the first town north of there. The local switching the National Lyman Stone at a junction called C Cabin, where it used to cross the AC and Y.
And is this what you were referring to before as the stone train on the CSX?
The Conrail had trackage rides from Upper Sandusky to Cary to service the stone quarry.
Okay.
Back in this era, the Wheeling, Lake Erie, CSX, and Conrail all had agreements to ship from the quarry.
Those are some sharp looking units. I mean, those look fresh, or the leader does anyway.
Yeah, that's actually a road slug. You notice it doesn't have any kind of fans or back, so they were called mother slugs. Back in the day, the local had them every day, and it was, just common, almost boring to see the local because that's all we ever had.
Sure.
We're going to go east on the old Pennsylvania now. This is Orville, Ohio, going by the old depot.
All right.
These at the time were owned by the Oroville Historical Society. Obviously, the first one's an ex-Milwaukee, second one's ex-BN. These might have been operating on Wheeling Lake Erie trackage. I don't remember a whole lot, but I don't think these are even around anymore. They took us on a little ride up a hill, I remember, like
Okay.
a transfer track or something. This is over east of Wellington, Ohio. This is ex-Chicago Northwestern E8. Mom and Dad is posing in front of it.
I'm guessing you're behind the camera here.
Correct, yep. Road railers at Crestline Yard. Obviously a Pennsylvania heritage.
Oh, yeah.
Westbound on the old Big Four at Crestline. Looks like a little local. Conrail eastbound on the old Pennsylvania at Crestline. Notice the old flasher and the old Pensy position light there in the background.
Yeah, that's some that railroad crossing signal for sure is quite unique.
Yeah. Believe it or not, to this day, the Pensy position light signal still stands there at that location.
Can't be too many places where that's the case anymore.
About the only place is between Crestline and out around Orville. There's still quite a few of them, but the line, there's only one scheduled train each way a day.
Okay.
This is Crestline, old YMCA in the background. You can just see the edge of the tower in the left part of the screen. This is a westbound coming off the Pensy going to the Big Four around the transfer. Used to be an Amtrak stop over there at the YMCA. Well, you can still see the old Am shed over here.
Yes,
Am
Shack.
Yep. Eastbound Triple Crown at Crestline.
All right.
There's a Amtrak in the better days stop there at Crestline.
Looks like that second unit might have had some kind of a mechanical failure.
Yeah, it doesn't look real hot. Glad it wasn't leading.
Lot of oil on the side of that long hood.
Yeah. There's a Conrail Big Four westbound at Crestline.
Two different versions of the Conrail logo there also.
Yeah, the Conrail quality was the latter.
Uh-huh.
Conrail westbound road railer on the former Pensy there, changing crews at Crestline. And another westbound coming around the connection from the Pennsylvania to the Big Four. You can just see the YMCA there in the background.
Yes.
Classic boat, see 36-7 there on the point.
Conrail did like their GE power.
Yeah. Back when G's were cool.
Wait a second. Are you saying GEVOs are not cool? Come on.
No, not as cool as EMDs are today.
Yeah.
Another eastbound road rail at Crestline. Obviously, there used to be more tracks underneath that bridge.
Yeah. It looks like there's room for three masts on that signal bridge.
Yeah, I know there was at least two. I'm sure there was a third back in the day, but.
Right.
We're going to jump west now on the old Pensy, Dunkirk. This is the crossing of the TNOC, which is Conrail in this era, and the Pennsylvania, which is also Conrail in this era, and that's all old Dunkirk Tower there.
Looks like it's been abandoned for a little while.
Well, it still stands today, and signal maintainers use it.
Oh, okay.
A little farther west, a little town of Ada. Old depot caboose. There's the road railer. Another road railer passes westbound.
Lots of code line too.
Yep, that's all gone today. This is Lima, Ohio, NS Tower, the crossing of the B&O and the Pennsylvania Railroad, and also the nickel plate had brief. They share trackage through this interlocking. And I don't think the tower lasted more than a couple months after I took this picture.
You can see the windows are broken out. It's not long for the world.
We're going to jump down now to Marion, Ohio. This is the Big Four crossing the Norfolk and Western, which original Pennsylvania, Norfolk Western, today Norfolk Southern, and also the Chesapeake and Ohio, today CSX. Looks like the Conrail is making a delivery to the NS in the right, and this is a straight Conrail eastbound at Marion.
Okay.
This is a CNO or CSX eastbound, obviously former CNO signals there. You kind of see the tower and the depot and museums in the background there.
Sure.
And CNO westbound at Marion. And then this is an NS eastbound at Marion, obviously former Pennsylvania. Back in the Conrail era days, that's where the tower originally stood. Now it's across the tracks on the south side part of the Union Depot Museum. And then Erie Lackawanna also used to cross here on that closest track. I think it was like a joint agreement where Conrail maintained the south track and the Erie the north track, I think.
Okay.
This is Ridgeway, Ohio. This is a east to southbound coming around the connection there. I believe it's train INCO, Indianapolis to Columbus. And they really tooled around these transfers. I believe it was 40 mile an hour.
Well, I was gonna, there's quite a bit of super elevation in that curve. I was noticing as we were looking at the photo here, so that makes a little more sense now.
The first time my dad and I went down there, we couldn't believe how fast they went around the transfer. We were used to like 10 mile an hour transfers like a Fostoria and Deschler. And
sure.
Here's a straight eastbound Big Four at Ridgeway.
Huh. You could be somewhere in Nebraska right now, and we wouldn't know the difference, right?
They ran a lot of UP run-through power on certain trains, like I believe it was like INPI. Conrail eastbound at Ridgeway there, just east of the Diamond. And this would be a Conrail northbound. The Diamond's about, you can see where the pole line goes over the tracks, and this would be the northwest transfer.
Was this during Desert Storm?
Oh, could have been, yes, as we support our troops.
Uh-huh.
And a straight Conrail southbound at the south end of the interlocking. A little bit farther west on the Big Four, this is Bell Fountain, Ohio. BS Tower, long abandoned, and then there used to be a line down to Springfield, which you can see what's left of it. The switch has been ripped out. I do believe the tower still stands today, but that's just totally full of trees. You can hardly see it.
Okay. Are you talking about going to Springfield, Illinois, or Springfield, Ohio?
Springfield, Ohio.
Okay. Gotcha. Because there would have been a B&O connection that went to Springfield, Illinois also, but this is not the same. That's not what we are here.
No. This is a dead-end branch operated. Originally, it was, I believe, nickel plate. It comes off at St. Mary's, Ohio, and this is a dead-end branch. It goes down to Minster, Ohio. Operated by R.J. Corman in this era and today. They were servicing a steel plant down here. Looking at Google Maps, the track does not even go down into town anymore, but the track still goes in on the north part of town. And looking at Street View, they haven't ran a train in years down that branch.
Sure.
And here they are up in Salina up on their quote main line, switching.
Yes. As much as they have a high-speed main line.
Yeah, that's old former nickel plate, and that used to be CTC, and they used to run probably 3 or 4 trains each way a day through there. Now it's just basically a branch that runs as needed.
Sure.
Wheeling Lake Erie westbound at Chatfield, Ohio. Former AC and Y trackage. NS eastbound at Chatfield, crossing the AC and Y. Wheeling Lake Erie eastbound, just leaving the Stone Quarry at Cary, probably 5 miles east of Cary or so. On the B&O at Greenwich, be crossing the AC and Y diamond at interlocking called GN Tower.
This is another seldom seen CSX paint that we have here.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's one lined up in the other direction too. Am I seeing a clear on that CPL?
Correct. Yep. And those signals were approach lit, so he was within the block.
Sure.
Eastbound 136, the hot intermodal train, crossing the Norfolk and Southern at Attica Junction. Then notice they got a slow order of 60 across the diamond.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's how they have to knock it down to 60 to go over the diamonds.
Yeah. And trust me, there were some trains that went 60 over that diamond. I will tell you the truth on that. And then this is a Norfolk Southern eastbound 234. He always had the high cubes on the head end.
Are those are auto parts coming?
Correct. Yep.
Coming down from Michigan.
Well, this train actually came off the nickel plate. I'm guessing that they came from Kansas City, but I don't know that for sure. But I do know this train did come from Fort Wayne at least.
Oh, okay.
Tiffin Tower on the B&O and the former Pennsylvania Crothers line. Astoria, Ohio. This was a dedicated train off the Grand Trunk that came down on the C&O and went east on the B&O daily.
Yeah.
This is up on the C&O.
Finished autos for this one.
Yeah. Astoria right behind the tower, a post-merger classic. Astoria. Westbound on the B&O of Astoria.
This is a former passenger platform that you're at?
Correct, yeah. I believe the Capital Limited stopped there briefly at Astoria.
Honestly, at first glance, I thought this was a street running shot, but now I see that's a platform.
Yes. CNO eastbound at Fostoria. CNO westbound Coltrane. Next RF&P coming down the CNO to go east on the BNO.
Which diamond is this? This is
the
still at
nickel.
Fostoria.
Correct. Yeah, this is the nickel plate CNO diamond.
Okay.
This is the BNO CNO diamond standing right in front of the tower. This is an eastbound. Three classic Gs on a CNO eastbound, going to go west of Fostoria.
This one's actually got the family line sticker intact there behind the cab too.
Yeah. And a BNO West, CNO West, right behind the tower there at Fostoria. They also ran, this is a NS eastbound, they ran a piggyback train off the Sioux line that ran through Fostoria every morning, and train 084, and he always had some interesting power. This day you had a Susquehanna F45 back there.
Another rare catch for sure.
Mm-hmm. Another one of them BQ 23-7s.
Thing just looks like a tank with those riveted windows.
Yeah. There's a ex-Delaware and Hudson CSX acquired. There's a F tower in the background. Couple chassis on the transfer.
Jeep 30 and a Jeep 35? Is that?
30M and a 38.
Okay.
And quite often, CP would run trains. CP had trackage rights in the States on the old Pure Marquette from Detroit down to Chicago, and for various reasons, they would run them down this way, CNO to BNO, Fostoria, and west, for, especially in the summer. I don't know if it was track work or what, but you could always catch a few of these down there.
Huh. All right.
And here's that NS234 at Fostoria on the nickel plate with the high cubes on the head end.
And the high nose on the leader.
Yeah. Another one at Fostoria, a nice chassis on the point. One of the very first CW40-8Ws, the new power is starting to, this is probably about 94 or 5, starting to sneak in.
Yep.
Here's the old XL&N B23-7. This is up on the CNO north of Fostoria. Until probably 5 or 6 years ago, they still had all the original signal bridges. Every signal was a signal bridge up on that railroad. It was so classic.
Yeah.
Another one up at Rising Sun. was nice too. The signals came on when they were lined. So if they were dark, you knew nothing was lined, and then if the signals were on, you knew you had one lined.
Just didn't know how far away it was.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the dispatcher's discretion, but at least you kind of had an idea what was going on.
Yep.
This is just north of Wallbridge on the former Toledo Terminal. Light power. Waiting to get into Wallbridge with a Powder River empty right behind it. That was kind of classic, a Jeep 30 and a C30-7, pretty much nose to nose.
Yep.
And then another day, back on the nickel plate at Mortimer, Ohio, the Susquehanna F45 was leading.
And another one trailing, too. And it looks like an SD45.
Yeah, there were 3 of them together on this consist. I didn't get a real good picture, but at least I got something. This is Leipzig, nickel plate and B&O crossing. And that old tower you can kind of see on the left-hand side of the photograph. And this would be a B&O southbound. Be a NS former nickel plate eastbound. Even got a little bit of run through power now and then.
Tunnel motor on a stack train in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually clean too.
Yep.
And a dusty coal train on the nickel plate just west of Macomb. Nickel plate signal eastbound NS at Leipzig. Westbound at Leipzig, crossing the B&O with the old tower in the background. The tower's been knocked down since. Back up on the B&O eastbound 138 at Galatea. Westbound B&O at North Baltimore.
Lots of steel coil there on the head end.
Yep, I bet that was train 381, I bet. And eastbound probably 138 at Deschler. Transfer move at Deschler. This was the crossing of the B&O railroads. Westbound B&O at Deschler. Kind of a classic with the B&O locomotive and the B&O signal.
Yeah, it was the B&O and the Pensy that used those CPL signals primarily.
Mm-hmm. Classical power at Deschler. Westbound at Deschler, and one of them EQ 23-7 second out.
Mm-hmm.
Southbound Deschler. I think it needs repainted.
I think it needs a lot more than paint, but yes.
Eastbound at Deschler. Next town west of Deschler is Hamler, where the B&O crossed the Henry Ford's railroad, the DT&I, Grand Trunk, Indiana, Ohio, now part of Genesee and Wyoming today.
International harvesters there, and it looks like maybe some Minneapolis Molines.
Well, Looks like some Case and maybe a few John Deeres.
It doesn't look like maybe they are deers, but they don't look like the right color of green for deers. But all right, I'll buy it.
Yeah, I don't honestly know for sure, but it was pretty rare to get a combine train out there.
Yeah, but definitely Case IH there on the head end for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And a little bit farther west, we're at FC interlocking on the west side of Defiance. The B&O crossed some kind of a short line. It might have been an original Wabash short line, but today it's owned by, I believe, Pioneer Rail Group.
All right.
This critter was sitting uptown.
Oh my.
RSD something, I'm not sure.
The woohoo.
Yeah. Back up to the diamond there at FC. End of the double track. Near Walbridge, Ohio. That was the last C&O locomotive painted up and or left in C&O colors. That guy did not appreciate his picture being taken, but who cares, right?
Yeah. You got the UP power with the wings over there on the siding also.
Yeah, so we're definitely into the mid 90s here.
Yep.
This is the Bluebird passenger railroad. They ran excursion trains all up into the early 90s, and then they've had some issues, and they don't run anymore. This is crossing the Maumee River at Grand Rapids, Ohio.
It's a nice shot.
Thank you. This is Ohio City. 3 railroads used to cross here. The Erie Lackawanna is the one in the going across the screen, and I believe the other one is the Cloverleaf, and then there was a third one that crossed there too, which I can't remember what it was. But everything here is 100% gone today, which at this point everything was dormant, but
Just not abandoned yet.
well, it might have been abandoned but not pulled up.
Sure.
And this is a little farther east on the Erie Lackawanna, around, I believe it's around Elgin, Ohio.
It's like somebody stripped the copper out of the signal box.
Yeah, I remember this is when I first got my driver's license and got my first car, so this was after 1996. This is Indiana, Ohio, northbound at Malenta, Ohio. Couple Jeep 30 sitting on the Y there.
Very sharp looking.
Mm-hmm. Indiana, Ohio on their own trackage called the Ottawa Loop, south of Ottawa. They have trackage rates on the B&O through there, and they've retained a little bit of trackage to service industries on the east side of Ottawa, and they're actually using their own track here to meet a northbound B&O.
Okay.
B&O CSX southbound at Cairo. Indiana, Ohio northbound at Delta. And this is the water level route underneath here.
Who's your buddy that's taking the photo from under the bridge?
Oh, that's my ride. That's Dad.
Okay.
Now we're on the water level route just west of Cleveland, Vermilion, Ohio. Eastbound at Oak Harbor on water level route.
You know, I think that's probably my favorite Conrail paint scheme that they came up with.
Yeah, I agree, and unfortunately, it didn't last very long.
Nope. But that 4107 is a great example of it.
Hmm. That's up on the Norfolk and Western or Norfolk and Southern today. There at Oak Harbor. And eastbound at Greytown.
Got a westbound lined up too.
That's just a automatic signal, so that was just its normal position, unless they were lined east or if there was a train 2 blocks ahead.
Okay.
Another, I think were those SD80s maybe?
Yeah, either SD80s or SD90s, one of the two.
Yeah.
Conrail had both, I believe.
He's rounding the curve at Millbury on a Detroit Edison empty heading east. Oak Harbor, one up above, one down below.
I like that Santa Fe trailer down there on the bottom too.
Yeah. A very late Amtrak 49. Obviously had to add a freight motor somewhere. He's probably 8-9 hours late.
Okay. The rare daylight move, in other words.
He should have gone through there usually about 7 or so in the morning.
Okay.
Going west. Westbound at Oak Harbor. Eastbound out around Rocky Ridge, SD60M. Westbound out there. I always loved the old pole lines they had out through there.
Yep. Spine cars too, or are these the road railers?
No, they never had railers up there.
No, these are spine cars.
Yep. Remember, this is on the 4th of July up at Oak Harbor. Got brave one day and actually climbed up on the bridge and got a picture. That was the only time I ever did that.
Yeah.
Now it's much simpler. Just fly my drone up, get my picture.
That's exactly right. No more climbing on signal masts to get elevated shots.
All right. And they ran a train off the BN TB 554, which ran, I believe, on Fridays going east. And sometimes if they were late, you catch them on Saturdays. And I always enjoyed that. I always had the BN consist.
Yeah, there's room for another main line there, too.
That used to be 4 tracks back in the day.
Yep.
Detroit Edison U30Cs. There's the number DE022.
Yep.
Another Detroit Edison westbound at Greytown. Eastbound at Elliston. And that's eastbound at Oak Harbor. Another eastbound at Oak Harbor.
And another bizarre looking GE unit.
Yeah, they go to C32-8s. Conrail eastbound, just east of Millbury. And eastbound at Millbury. Eastbound at Vickers, about ready to cross the former Toledo terminal, today CSX.
Yeah, all GE power too.
Yeah. Westbound going by the Toledo Union Station.
Shorty.
Yeah. Eastbound at Holland. Eastbound at Swanton. I guess Dad and I were pretty confident he was going to cross over.
Yeah, no kidding.
Eastbound at Wasion at CP 320. And last one is a westbound, also there at Wasion, CP 320.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Russ. I've definitely enjoyed this, and I think I can speak for everyone else that this is just a fantastic program with a lot of rare stuff that we just don't see around anymore. And we even got some of those, western roads in too that we get to see way too much of here in Iowa. So,
Yep.
thank you very much for the program, and thank you everyone for tuning in. And come back next month in June for Dave Kroger. And we are going to sign off.